So it looks like we got an update from Stephanie White on Caitlin Clark's status, going forward after this latest groin injury. And I want to listen to it. And I also want to talk about what I think a lot of...
Hey, great to be here with you guys today. Where has Stephanie White's best friend, Carolyn Peck, been? And where has the Indiana Fever are a more dangerous team without Caitlin Clark conversation gone?
People are kind of feeling, especially with Stephanie White and the Fever organization on the heels of the DeWanna Bonner situation, to where they feel like they cannot trust what
the Indiana Fever suddenly stopped that 5-game win streak, lose 3 of their last 4. How come Carolyn Peck has suddenly stopped showing up on TV? How come that narrative?
Everyone in the WNBA is asking the same question right now. Is Caitlin Clark actually coming back? Stephanie White just gave the clearest update yet. There's a massive twist. Clark is back on the court, jogging, passing, going through warm-ups. But White says one key factor will decide if she plays again this season. What is it? And why could it completely change the Fever's future? Stick around, because this isn't just about one player. The entire league is watching in panic. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Fans got fired up when video clips showed Caitlin Clark jogging up the court during practice, firing crisp passes, and looking like her old self again. For a second, it almost looked like she was ready to suit up that same night.
The organization is telling them. I actually had a question in my comment section on the last video where somebody did express about, feeling like they could not trust the organization. I think a lot of this comes down to...
Of the Indiana Fever are more dangerous without Caitlin Clark. Why has that suddenly stopped? The Indiana Fever just lost back-to-back games against the Dallas Wings, 19-0 run.
The organizations wanting to protect themselves, protect the information, and don't want the actual truth out there. And this is not exclusive to the Fever. This is not exclusive to the WNBA.
18-7 to start the fourth quarter. Lost the lead, lost the game. We just lost back-to-back games against teams we had no business losing to, even without Caitlin Clark. And some people might say, well, the silver lining is...
But then Stephanie White stepped in with an update that cooled all that excitement fast. What she laid out made it clear. This process is way more complicated than just lacing up sneakers and shooting around for a few minutes. Here's the reality. Clark being back at practice doesn't equal game ready. She's under very careful monitoring from the Fever staff. Think about it like this. Letting her go through warm-ups is one thing, but tracking how her body reacts the next day is a completely different story. White pointed out that one short workout never tells the whole truth. It's how the same leg, the same muscle, responds after 2, 3, or even 4 days of work that actually matters. If it holds up, that's real progress. But if the soreness creeps back in, everything gets reset. And that's the tension sitting over this whole situation. A lot of people equate seeing Clark on the floor with being healed, but White made it clear that one light practice don't cut it. It takes multiple sessions to prove whether Caitlin's body can handle real game day intensity. You can't put her back in front of a packed arena and find out the injury isn't ready when she's trying to lock in against a defender. That's why White's message came across so cautious. She explained that the real decision maker here isn't simply if Clark can jog pain-free, it's whether she can go through full contact, scrimmage level plays, get shoved around, and show up the following days and still move at the same high speed.
To decipher what organizations want to tell you is, who does this information benefit? If it does not benefit the fans to know this, aside from making us feel good or knowing exactly what's happening with our favorite player.
We have the Connecticut Sun coming up on Sunday. Connecticut Sun game tomorrow. Fair enough. My response, that is a winnable game. Furthermore, that is a team we've already lost to this season.
Or a different player on the team. The organization is looking out for themselves. That's why they can't be necessarily transparent with every single thing. Now, there's stuff they can't run from. They knew Caitlin Clark was going to miss.
Without Caitlin Clark, not only have we already lost to the Connecticut Sun, but we lost to them on our home court. We lost to the Connecticut Sun. So How can we even be so confident?
Imagine it from a player's perspective. There's a huge gap between working through some fast breaks in a quiet gym and trying to take over a tight fourth quarter on the road. The first example looks good on camera. Quick cuts, sharp passes, a confident smile. The second involves adrenaline, pressure, nonstop contact, and players hacking at you when you drive to the rim. That's the test Indiana needs answered before they even think about putting Clark back into the lineup. Clips of her in workouts spark fans with hope, but those flashes can hide what's actually risky. A quick 5-minute highlight doesn't reveal how her muscles feel the next morning when she puts weight on them. Groin injuries are notorious for this. They can feel fine when the player is loose and warmed up, then tighten back up overnight, making the next day miserable. That stop-and-go pattern is what trainers are trying to avoid because every setback stretches the timeline even longer. And it's important to remember, groin injuries don't just slow down running.
2.5 weeks with the groin, 2 weeks at minimum. They had to come out and say that. Like, they couldn't just we'll put her day to day until then, because the severity of the injury necessitated them make something happen.
How can we be so confident that we are going to take care of business against the Connecticut Sun? Folks, this time last week, I was in San Diego. The Indiana Fever were a 5th seed. Fast forward 1 week later.
But even then, when she started coming back, we started hearing rumbles. Oh, okay, is it going to be this game? Is it going to be this game? And then they timed it up perfectly, seemingly, to get the last game played in I believe in Atlanta on maybe a Tuesday.
Stephanie White has done nothing to calm anybody's concerns surrounding this team. The only thing Stephanie White has done is fail to take accountability for any role that she plays.
They affect almost every movement in basketball. Exploding off the dribble, fighting through screens, sliding on defense, even rising up for a shot. Every single one of those moves puts strain on that area. That's what makes managing it so tricky. It's not a simple tweak where you sit a week and get right. It lingers if not handled step by step. Stephanie White's measured tone made sense when you factor in what's at stake. The Fever aren't just being cautious for this season. They're thinking about the long-term picture. Clark isn't a one-year rental. She's the franchise cornerstone, a player meant to carry Indiana for the next decade. Rushing her back for a few wins in June could cost months, maybe even years if she suffers a setback. Everyone in that organization knows this. So when White gave her update, the real message behind the words was crystal clear. This isn't a countdown clock where the buzzer hits and Caitlin suits up. This is a marathon test. It's about whether her body can survive those endurance checks without breaking down again mid-season. Only then will they let her back onto the stage fans are waiting for. And here's where it gets even bigger. If Clark clears that hurdle, it's not just Indiana that benefits. A healthy Caitlin Clark entering the lineup flips the balance of the entire WNBA. Suddenly, the playoff picture doesn't look the same, and teams that thought they had breathing space are back in panic mode. The crazy part is this update isn't just about Caitlin's health. It's about whether the Fever stay locked near the bottom or suddenly punch their way into the playoff race. Clark changes everything. Her scoring, her passing, even her presence shifts how defenses react. So here's the real question. Should Indiana take the gamble and bring her back now to chase wins, or should they hold her, protect her future, and risk losing the spark the league has built? One choice keeps the Fever waiting. The other could flip the season overnight and place the WNBA spotlight directly on Indiana.